Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure wherever you are watching, whenever you are watching this interview. So today we have a leadership coach, Srijata Bhatnagar is in front of me. Hello Srijata.
Hi, Ravi. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing good. Let's start with your introduction. Can you provide a brief overview about your background and journey becoming an author, not just author and leadership coach?
Sure. I always say that I'm an accidental speaker, author, and a coach. I never intended to
Oh,
become one. In my actual, I would say, days when I would dream of my future, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur who would come in, on the cover page of business magazine. So that was my precise dream. Of course,
oh,
that got realized over a period of time. However, I think, you know, as a person from a very small town in India and studying, learning in her vernacular language, like I come from West Bengal, and I have had my studies until my plus two, until my 12th grade in Bengali medium, like many
okay.
of you would
Oh,
relate to it. Who have studied in, let's say, Tamil medium or Telugu medium or one of those things, right? So I was like that, and I couldn't speak English at all in my until I was 23. So it so happened that I wanted to do an MBA, and when I was studying, entrepreneurship was not a big deal. I mean, it was not as popular as it is today, right? So there was nothing like entrepreneurship related courses. So I chose to become an MBA, and I wanted to do an MBA, and somehow I cracked it. I was sent off to Chennai to do my MBA. Now
oh.
from West Bengal to Chennai, it was a huge shift. It was a culture shift. It was a language shift. It was a food related
Yeah,
stress
that's
and
different.
many other things, language problems, language barriers, and all of that. So there came the need to be able to speak proper English. And I remember in my MBA induction speech when I had to go, and so all the students, all the new students who joined, they were supposed to go on stage and introduce themselves and talk about what their dreams and aspirations were, etc. I went up on stage. I was afraid of stage. First of all, I had stage fear. I mean, fear of public speaking was one of my problems. So I went up on stage and somehow gathered the courage and started talking about my dream in broken English. Of course, I couldn't speak English those days properly. And if you've heard our current chief minister in West Bengal, Mamta Banerjee, speaking English, I used to speak worse than her. So you can imagine,
Okay,
right?
I can relate to, even I came from Telugu background. I can relate how difficult it was.
Yes. Uh, So that's what happened. I spoke about my dream of becoming an entrepreneur, going in front of, getting published in different magazines and things like that. And the whole class laughed, of course. I mean, I was nowhere close to that dream, and nobody believed that I could do it. But that was a blow. That was a setback that kind of changed my trajectory, I would say, because after that, I went back and I did a lot of introspection. I realized that it was time for me to show my worth. And what I did next was I called my dad and I said, "Mom, Dad, I need extra money to give for you to give me." And he said, "For what?" We used to have allocated money, monthly budget, right? So
Pocket money.
for college, right? It's pocket money. So I said, "No, I need extra this much." And I gave a very specific number. I don't remember exactly how much I said, but yeah, it's a very specific number. So that made him intrigued. Why? Then I said, I have actually joined a spoken English class in Chennai, and I want to learn to speak English really confidently and in a good way. Um, So he figured that I was interested in joining something and doing something with myself, so he agreed and he gave me, and that was the start of my journey, I would say. So yeah, I did well, and then from there, from being laughed at on stage, I went about winning one of the prizes in intercollegiate competitions in
Oh,
business, something related to business, and then I also became um, a miss something, like I was crowned as a beauty queen in intercollegiate competition, but I had to speak in English in front of not only my college mate but also many other colleges, right? So that was
yeah, yes.
happening. So yeah, life went on, and I went into a corporate. I forgot about that dream, being being an entrepreneur and starting to create my own legacy. I forgot about it. And I went into corporate and went into the grind and started, doing pretty well there. And though my start was rocky, I did well, and I went into a really good media company, and I was working with them as a product manager. And this was
Oh,
when I moved from Chennai to Bangalore, and I was working there. I became from product manager, I became senior product manager. I went into senior leadership. I mean, I would say not even senior leadership, but yeah, mid leadership. And I was doing pretty well. And during this time, I had gotten married, and I was starting a family. I had a baby. So during my pregnancy and around the delivery, I took a few months off. I think I had taken about 4 to 5 months off, if I'm not wrong. And when I went back to my corporate, it was time for appraisals. And so I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I was on off for 4 or 5 months for this, but I did really do well in my previous,
remind.
like just before I went for a leave, right? So I was like, okay, if not too much, I will get something, and I will get if not a promotion, but I'll get a raise and things like that. So I was confident about it. However, when I received my appraisal letter, I saw I was being demoted from a managerial position to an individual contributor position. And that was a shock. I was like, what? And I had to change my reporting structure to my peer, to someone who I have been working with for years together. And we were both in the same level, both of us. So I was being changed to that. And when I went to my boss, the then boss, she said that, well, I figured that you just had a baby and you might need to take some off and you might need to spend more time with your baby. Hence we thought that putting you in an individual position will be better for you. So I was
That's
actually a victim of gender bias here, and by another woman.
oh,
So,
that's really
so
hard.
that was my that was my second big setback, and because of that, I kind of lost kind of interest in corporate world, and I tried fighting, and I tried telling them this is not happening. How can you do the how can you take decisions of my career without even consulting me? What I wanted, you never put that into
Hmm.
account. You just did what you pleased, and that's not how it works. It's my career after all, and I've never done anything wrong in this company. I've only done good things. I've always had my clients, my other peers, my team members, cross-cultural teams talking good about me. Then why is this?
Hmm.
So anyhow, that happened. But then yeah, once decision is taken, companies generally don't change it, because that is firstly ego issue. Secondly, it is it will show the management as an incompetent team, so
Hmm.
they don't want to do that. So that did not change. So then I quit. And I though I went back to a couple of other shorter stints in different startups as different positions, I just could not, I would say, settle myself in corporate. That was becoming a big challenge. And because I was not able to settle myself in the corporate, I kept on becoming restless about things, that how can I really bring value to people who really, uh, cherish my values. So that was the question I kept asking. And that's when I think I went back to my previous dream of becoming an entrepreneur. And I started working on that. And I started my first startup. I was the first in my entire family, entire generations of family, the
Oh,
first to
that's
start
inspiring.
entrepreneurship, and my parents were really upset with me because I left a good paying corporate job to start something that was so that had no stability, no understanding of how much income I will generate and what impact I will bring, and so on and so forth. But I think that kind of changed the way I thought about different things. So I started my first startup. My first startup failed, by the way. Okay, because I did a lot of mistakes being a rookie entrepreneur, and just went overboard with the glamour and blitz of startup, and instead of focusing on the real issues, right? So that's what happened. So then around the same time, I got an offer from IIM Bangalore to come and do a course on entrepreneurship. And I went, I did that course, and after that, I started my second startup. That was in Bangalore again. And that continued to an extent. I did it pretty well. And in that time, when I had, failed my first startup, is when 91 Springboard, if you are aware of the brand,
Yeah,
right? Having a startup carnival. And Bangalore Startup Circle is very, very, it is a big circle, but it is also very close knit and known circle. Like everybody knows everybody there, right? So that was the situation. So they reached out to me saying that, hey, we know that you've closed down your first startup recently. Would you like to come and talk about your story? What happened? Why did you close it? What were the learnings and all that? Essentially, they wanted me to talk about my failures. And I was like, no, no, this is not happening. I'm not talking about this. So I was like, no, I mean, yeah, I know I talk about failures should be taken more into account. But when it comes to coming and talking about my own failure in front of so many people, around 200 people were there, all entrepreneurs, all different phases of entrepreneurs. 200 entrepreneurs knowing about my story, my failures is going to be a pain. My next
that's
startup is not going to get any, I will not get any job in the market. My reputation will go for a toss. I will never get funding for my second startup. I will not
obviously.
be able to hire anybody. And many other problems can occur, right? I mean, why should I go and do this? Then they kind of started cajoling and convincing, saying that no, 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 please come, please talk about it. We have been hearing success, success, success a lot. We need to hear about what failures teaches us. After all, 99% startups fail and only 1% succeed. And by the way, you're not going to be the only one to talk about it. There are going to be many other people who will talk about it. I was like, okay, how many? Then they said two other entrepreneurs are going to talk about it. I was like, okay, so three of us. I mean, then he said, yeah, three of you. I said, okay, fine. So then I kind of got committed. Then I said, yeah, okay, fine, I will do that. And once I commit, I commit. That's how I am. So so I went back to my drawing board and I started thinking about how can I make this impactful for people. And if they really want to talk about failure, let's talk about real failures. And so I started, creating my presentations. As I said, I wasn't really confident and comfortable on stage. Impromptu, like we are talking today, without any notes or anything like that, right? But at that time, I needed that presentation. I needed my notes. So I kept creating those things. So what I did was I created a timeline of failures. People
That's
create timelines of successes. I created a timeline of failures. And so I went ahead with that. Now, when I went to I was confident that, okay, I've done a good job of preparing for it. I can be confident on stage, and I wouldn't fumble at least. I will at least talk properly. So with that thought, I went to the stage and I waited for my turn. Thanks to my name, which is Srijata, which is S. Therefore, I was the third one in the group to talk about it. Alphabetical order, you see. So Anyway, I was waiting. So the first person goes on stage, and I'm waiting in the front row, in the reserved row in the auditorium,
Yeah.
and the exit is at the back. So I'm in the front row, exit is at the back, and there is an aisle, and everybody is sitting in the middle. There is an aisle. So picture this, okay? Now the first person goes up on stage, and he starts talking. As he starts talking, I have panic attack. Why? Because this guy goes up and starts talking about his success. And I was like, oh no, I thought we were supposed to talk about our failures. I got the mandate wrong, or I got fooled into it. I don't know what happened, So, any which case, that happened. But then he spoke about it. And in the meantime, I'm having sweaty palms. I am sweating here, sweating there, and I'm wondering what to do now. And then I'm telling my mind, oh, it's okay. There's one more person who's going to go on stage and talk. Maybe she will, do better justice to the topic. And I'm trying to console and, calm my mind down. But at the same time, I'm wondering, am I the only fool here who's going to do something that nobody else is actually doing it? Okay, fine. If that's the case, so I waited there. Now the second person goes on stage. When the second person goes on stage, it's a repeat. She also started talking about success. And I'm like, shit, I don't know what to do now. I'm so lost. Either I go back, I walk the entire aisle, take a walk of shame and don't go up on stage and perform,
Yeah.
or go up on stage and perform what I decided I will perform,
Yeah.
or I go on stage and do an impromptu speech. And the third one
Typical situation.
definitely is beyond my capability at that point in time.
Yes.
You know, the first one, I was like, okay, if I have to take a walk of shame, that's equally bad than if I go up on stage and I goof up, I screw
Let's
up.
accept it.
So I was like, okay, fine, let me do it. Let me go on stage and do whatever I have planned to do. Then we'll see. So I decided to go up on stage and jump without a parachute. Right? I was like, okay, if I have to jump, let me jump. We'll see after that where we
Let's see
land.
what.
So yeah, so I went up and I somehow managed to share all the timelines that I had prepared, and how those failures, each of those failures, shaped my life, shaped my career, shaped my current state, and how it helped me eventually. I finished my speech. I stood there for a few seconds, thanked people, and stood there, took a deep breath, and I waited with the bated breath. What is the reaction? There was no reaction at all. Everybody was silent. There was
Painted.
painful silent in the whole in that whole room. And I was like, I have definitely screwed up. There's nothing can be worse than this, And with that, I hang my head down, droop my shoulder, and start walking towards the exit of the stage. Suddenly, I hear a lot of noise, and a lot of clapping noise, and a roaring sound of claps. So I look up like that, and I'm like, I see everybody standing and clapping. And I don't know what is happening. I really don't know what is happening, because by the time I've zoned out, I've
Yeah.
completely, blanked out. So I kept walking. I kept walking towards my seat to pick up my stuff from there and leave. But as I go there and I try to take my bag, people swarm towards me and they start congratulating me and thanking me for being so honest, open, and vulnerable about things. They were thanking me that, it kind of resonated with them for everything, and it helped them figure out that they're not alone in this, and it is not something that is ultimately bad. Like, I mean, it's not the last step. It's not like after this nothing can happen. And that's when I realized that the work that I do today, setback leadership, could be a potential topic or potential thing that I can really talk about, because it comes to me naturally and it does resonate with people, and people need to hear about you. I think that's how my story started.
Now I can imagine how you published two books under, SOAR and Setback Leadership. Let's. let's dive into your books too. Can you share any key insight, like what inspired you to write books, Setback, Leadership, and SOAR? Can you share any key insight from each book that particularly impactful for readers?
Sure. So, setback leadership happened. So, this happened, this incident that I was talking about, the speech incident happened in 2015. Uh, so, though I was clear that this is going to be something that I need to pursue and I'm good at it, I did not take any action for the next 2 years. Until 2017, I did not take any action. I sat on it, I procrastinated, I thought, okay, who am I to talk about it? And so on and so forth. Why would people listen to me? What have I got? What have I achieved in life? Again, the same question, achievement, success, success, success. But in 2017, I found a mentor, a coach who kind of knocked sense into my head and said that, hey, this is something that comes to you naturally. Why don't you write a book about it? And that's when I started thinking about the book and started writing about the book. He kind of pushed me towards it and he challenged me. And when somebody challenges me, I do it.
No.
Like that. Okay, that's a secret I just shared, or no? Now, if you challenge me and I don't pick it up, I am not going to do it. So that's also
That's
there.
true.
But yeah, so he challenged me. He said, "Why don't you start writing a book?" And I started writing Setback Leadership. It was I started writing it in 2017. I wrote it about 40% of the book, and I parked it. I said, "No, not happening. This is not something I want to write. Why should people listen to it?" The book was all about 10 mistakes of my life, something like that,
No.
and I found it was probably not an original idea, or maybe not a story that everybody would want to listen to, or anything like that. So I kind of parked it, and then I went about doing my different things. I started doing speeches, and started talking to people and all of that. And then in 2019, I came across PSAI, Professional Speakers Association of India, and I became one of their earliest members, and became very involved in a very short period of time. And that's when a lot of my friends from PSAI start kicking me at my backside. So I was saying that you have a book with you, you've already written 40% of it. Why aren't you completing it? So that was that. Then that's how I kind of started reviving Setback Leadership. And 10 mistakes of my life actually became Setback Leadership for everybody else. It came up with, I started interviewing people, I started understanding their stories, and I interviewed about 10, 12 leaders from all across the world in different parts of the world, and from different spaces of career in different leadership models, etc. And I interviewed them and got their point of views, and I wrote it down. Now, that was the reason I wrote Setback Leadership. And the learning in Setback Leadership, one best learning that I have got from Setback Leadership, and while writing it and while interviewing these people, is that every setback or every failure is not the last thing in your life. It's not a full stop. It's just a comma. It's just a turn. You can still move ahead. It's not the end of the road. It's just a turn. You just turn on the other direction, and you're good. You're good to go. Whether you turn left, right, you take a backward turn, doesn't matter. But it is not a full stop. It is not your end of life. So that is something that I have learned from Setback Leadership. And today I fiercely practice it in my personal life. And when I'm teaching this to anyone, as a coach or as a speaker or as a consultant. So that's the learning from Setback Leadership. SOAR happened thanks to pandemic, honestly. During in pandemic, in the month of, I mean, in the year of 2020, a lot of women leaders started reaching out to me, because knowing that I was a Setback Leadership champion and coach, so they tried to understand, well, how can they handle the setback that they're going through right now, because everybody was at home. They had to take care of their home, kids, family, cooking, cleaning, everything along with their professional work. So therefore, it was becoming painful. People were, overwhelmed. They were tired. They were exhausted. And a lot of women reached out to me, and then they were like, "Sujata, what do we do?" And I was facing the same challenges at my workplace as well. Like, I mean, back in India, I used to live in a joint family. My parents, my sister, our dog, my family, my own family, like my husband and daughter, all of us, 7 of us were living in the same house. And during pandemic, all of them inside the house, you can imagine. So it was a madhouse. Honestly, it was a madhouse, right? So I figured that no, this is not happening, and we need to figure it out something. So I sat down. I started, doing research after research, and I started doing tests that what is actually going to help. And those tests, those researches that I did with myself and other women actually formed part of the book of SOAR. So
Yeah,
in 2021, when things started slowly moving up, I decided to launch a podcast. And, while launching this podcast, I started talking to leaders about how to break biases, stereotypes, and glass ceilings for women, and what it means for women to be out of all of these things and grow exponentially. So when I was doing these interviews, I figured that these could be part of the book as well. And that's how SOAR came into the picture.
yeah.
And
So was the medium to connect you and me.
yeah, yeah, there you go. See, even
Yes,
I
yes.
have it with me. So, so what happened because of that, and it was primarily because I wanted to really give answers or find answers for all of us as women leaders and other leaders who were overwhelmed during this period to be able to find solutions. So that's how SOAR happened. Now, one learning from SOAR, or one important thing from SOAR that I did is that though the book is written for women, it's absolutely written for women. If you see the,
Yeah,
the front page, the way it is
that
designed,
symbol.
what it
Yeah,
talks
represent.
about here, right? Everything seems like for women, right? And however, interestingly, when I shared this book with men leaders from across corporates, across different spaces, I've heard a lot of men saying that, why are you promoting this book only for women? This is equally valid for us as well. And that is something that was a learning for me. So next
Yeah,
time
in
when I
fact, that was my first impression. Why she kept this theme when I received in 2022. If I'm not wrong.
yeah. So I mean, and that's been the I would say the normal voice. So even though it was actually written for women, I realized over a period of time after launching the book that this could happily be utilized for all leaders and every leader who are struggling to break their own biases, their own glass ceilings, their own values, belief systems, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is what it is.
Okay, like in SOAR, you discussed about breaking the glass ceiling, right? What are some common challenges you have observed among individuals, like who are trying to breaking break through this barrier, particularly, how they can overcome from these kind of uh, barriers.
It's a two-level problem. It's a problem which is an internal problem as well as an external problem. Actually, three-level, I would say: internal, external, and system level. Right. So there are three level problems. So internal problems are your own, let's say your imposter syndrome or your doubts or your beliefs that you're not good enough, low confidence, and those kind of things, right? The external is when your family, your manager, your peers, your bosses are not seeing your worth, and therefore they're judging you through a lens of, let's say, gender, race, caste, language, or anything else for that matter, right? So anything that makes you different from others is something that is stopping your growth. That's where the glass ceiling hits us. And the third one is the systemic problems. What I mean by that is companies, for example, having policies which are not diverse, which are not diversity friendly, which are not inclusion friendly, which are not helping everybody, which are probably helping just a section of the workforce, which was a majority 50 years back, but not today. So that's the challenge that I see. And systemic challenges could be, for example, many leaders get driver allowance.
Hmm.
Okay. so that they don't have to drive cars, so that they can save that time for productive work. How about as system, as a company, we start we start giving allowance for childcare, which is not there. Childcare expenses are paid, but childcare, if it is taken care for women, they can be way more productive.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So these are some of the systemic challenges that are faced by a certain section of the, I would say, corporate world, which are not still being solved. We are still concentrating more on how can we have more women in the workforce, but we're not focusing on how do we make sure that women stay in the workforce. It's not sustainable. We're reaching the 50% mark, saying that, hey, we have got 50% of our women, of our workforce as women. But then when we are looking at it break, let's say entry level to junior manager level to mid manager level to senior manager level to executive board level, you can see that difference. It may be 50%, 70% at the beginning, but as life goes on, as career goes on, these women drop off from the workforce, and systemic challenges can solve that from happening. So in SOAR, I talk about these three different kinds of challenges that we are facing and how together we can change those.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. In setback leadership, we are focusing more on, setbacks into successes, right? Like, could you share any story from your own life, or, you work where someone, turned setback into the significant success? What were the key factors contributed them to this, like, turnaround?
Stories, there are so many of them. It's like asking which story are you going, it's like asking which baby of yours you love the most. That's difficult, but let me see which one can I share. Let me share the story of a normal girl who wanted to be a firefighter. Okay, so she's actually from US, and from childhood, seeing the firefighter, she has always been wanting to become a firefighter. Okay, that was her dream to become, because she always fantasized of being firefighting, and she liked that heroism around the job. But as we all know, firefighting is mostly a men's job, right? And when she joined as a naive 20 something year old in the organization, she was bullied. She was really bullied, and she could not sustain there for long. Because she was a woman and nobody took her seriously. They thought that she was not, capable of that particular job, and she was too weak to be taking up a firefighter's job. And that's how her life was for a while. And she was ridiculed. She was not taken seriously. She kept on going, and all of that happened. Then, after a point in time, seeing the toxicity, she quit. She quit the firefighting job, saying that enough is enough. I don't want to deal with it. Guess what she did after that? She actually became 10 times world champion about strength. She took up strength
As a
competition.
challenge.
She actually became 10 times world champion for women's strength and women's bodybuilding. That was her comeback, and today she teaches bodybuilding, strength building to women. So that's her success story. She's a celebrity in the US, and she's done music videos for Jennifer Lopez and many other people. And an amazing personality. When I interviewed her, I was in awe with her. So that is her story. Yeah, I mean, I can keep on going on and on and on with many stories that I've had. But yeah, that's her story.
No, like,
Let me tell you her full name. She's got an interesting name as well. It's, I think, one sec. Yeah, her name is Lauren Powers. Look her up. Lauren Powers, 10 times bodybuilding champion. You will be fascinated with her story.
Like, what are some practical strategies or any approaches, that leaders can use to empower themselves in teams to overcome their challenges to achieving their, growth or goals?
Yeah. So whenever I talk to leaders, I hear them talk about resilience mindset a lot. When we talk about resilience, mostly we think that it is about mindset, how your mind is strong enough or powerful enough to handle challenges is what is resilience is all about. In setback leadership, what I tell people is that yes, it is mindset, but that is only one spoke of three different spokes of being a setback leader who's a pro at setback leadership. And what are those? So first of course is the mindset. And as a leader, you need to understand that it's not about the strength of the mindset, it's not about the power of the mindset, it is about the agility of the mindset. It is about switching a situation from why me to a wow, it's me situation. It's about having that power to deliberately think of a good thing when a challenge happens. So let's say when your computer crash, that's one of the things that we have
Mhm.
as people who are into the tech field. What is our first reaction? Oh no, I lost everything.
Yeah.
Yes. But I always tell people that instead of saying that, oh no, I lost everything, I don't know what to do right now, just take a back step. Do not react to it. Now, once you have, got your breathing down to a calmer situation, think about what good thing happened because of this. What is that treasure that you can unravel because of this problem?
Yeah.
And it's like a treasure hunt, like kids do treasure hunts, right? And they find the treasures and then they feel happy about it. So these every setback is like a treasure which is hidden. We have to unravel it and find that the gift that is hidden behind it. And that's why I say changing your mindset from why me to wow, it's me situation is very important, because when you say wow, it's me, you're looking forward to unravel that gift. So that's the mindset change that I'm talking about. Now, that's not enough. You need to also make change in the process that you have. Whenever we go through challenges, we have a standard process that we follow. We all behave in the same way. We think
Mhm.
same in the same way. We act in the same way. The way we are reacting to it may be different from time to time, but the process that we're following to do that act or that decision making or that action taking is the same
Should be said.
every single time. And most often, that's unproductive at the minimum and self-sabotaging at the maximum. So you make decisions or you take actions that does not help you eventually in the long run. And then you regret, oh no, why did I do it? I shouldn't have probably done that. I was too overwhelmed at that point in time. I was too distressed. I was too upset or whatever. And I did these things. So what I focus on is something called setback SOP, which is setback standard operating process. So I tweak your process, your mental process that, you know, spoils your decision making ability or action taking ability when you are in between the challenge. So that is the second part of it. So mindset process. The third one is tools. We do not focus on tools at all. We do not give ourselves the permission to use these tools on a regular basis. Like, let me ask you, when you want to go to gym and when you want to go become really healthy and strong and have build muscles and all of that, can you do it just by going to gym one day?
It's not possible.
Possible. You have to do it every single day for a long
Exactly.
time and practice it.
Exactly.
And you have to use the right equipment. You have to have a diet. You have to have the right amount of exercise, not too much, not too less. These are tools to make you more
Mm.
fit. So similarly, in setback leadership, I talk about different tools that can help you become a setback leader, which will not stop you or which will not throw you off the road when you hit by a sudden challenge. And guess what? The challenges are going to be sudden. It's not going to come announced saying that, hey, I'm coming, and then they come. It's like those
Challenges are always
unannounced guests, right? And nobody, many of us don't like unannounced guests in our house. I don't like unannounced guests in my house. You tell me you're coming so that, I can prim and proper my house. But yeah, but that's what. So I talk about three dimensions. Mindset, processes, and tools in setback leadership. I think leaders, if they pick this up, they can help their teams significantly differently and in a much better way to be better resilient people and better productive, better decision makers, despite challenges throwing them off.
so that the team can be in same direction.
Yeah,
We need
absolutely.
to believe
Absolutely.
systems and processes.
Yeah,
We need
yeah.
to believe systems and processes.
Absolutely. We definitely need to believe in systems and processes.
How can individuals, cultivate a mindset of continuous learning and personal growth, especially, in the face of adversity and a setback situation?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I will talk about my personal life, right? I mean, I have been through, you think of a challenge, I have been through it. Like, I mean, even in setback leadership, I talk about 9 different kind of challenges people will go through at some point in time in their life or career. And all 9, I have been through it. So I mean, as we speak currently, also, I'm facing some challenges, some setbacks because I've moved to the new country recently and all of that. So, how I keep myself, ahead of my challenges and, stop me from getting completely bogged down by the challenges that's my way, right? Number one, I read a lot. I read a lot. I read at least 25, 30 books a year. So that's how I read. And I am all the time, I am gathering more and more knowledge from alternative learning sources, whether it is book, podcast, videos, blogs, talking to people, one-on-one conversations. Everything is like a learning adventure for me. So I do that a lot. Secondly, I network a lot. It's our tendency when we go through challenges, we hide ourselves. We just, we become smaller and we kind of, you know, we isolate ourselves. So I always say that when you're going through challenges, you network more. You talk to more people. You go out there, you share your challenges with, of course, the right kind of people. But do that. Do not hide yourself. Do not isolate yourself. So when you do networking, you will realize 2 things. One, your problem is not as big as you are thinking it to be. 2, it can give you solution to your problem. Because when you go out, meet people, they might give you something, they might tell you something, which might, have a ring a bell in your head saying that, hey, this is something that I can do and this is something that can help me. So that's the second thing that you do. Third thing that you can do is seek help. If you're unable to come out of it yourself, be open to seeking help. There is no harm in seeking coaching or seeking mentorship or anything like that. There is no shame in that. I've had many mentors. I have had many coaches. I still have coaches. I still have mentors who keep helping me stay on the course. And if you need that help, make that investment. It's not an expense. Please understand. Going to a
Obviously,
movie, going to a movie, going to a let's say a good restaurant and blowing off a couple of thousand rupees could be a expense, but this is not an expense. So make sure that you invest in your own self growth and self sustenance. These are the 3 things. If you're able to do it, in no time you'll be out of your challenge.
definitely networking plays a vital role in our career growth. We can conclude that we are not alone facing the same problem, like-minded people in the same group, right? Okay. What advice, would you give to someone who is looking to advance their career? They want to take a leadership role. Are there any specific qualities or skills they should focus on developing themselves?
Well, this is a super generic question. It's difficult to answer. It's like asking which diet will suit you the best. Unless I know your physical qualities, it's difficult. But yeah, on a generic thing, I would say first assess what you have, what you don't have.
Hmm.
What are your best qualities? What are your worst qualities? And to become a leader, what among these is needed? And I always suggest that you put more efforts in your strengths and then you in your weaknesses. So try and put more effort in your strengths and advance those and try and reduce the impact of your weaknesses as much as you can. And accordingly, decide, okay, these are the, do not try and come up with a list of 20 things that you need to do. It's not going to happen.
Hmm.
Trust me. So you need to focus on, okay, if I have a list of 20 things, what are my priorities among these? What are the top three things that I want to focus on, let's say this month, this quarter, this in this half yearly and this year, and focus on those things one at a time. Reduce your task or reduce your growth or reduce the need of doing something new in a small chunks. Do not try to accomplish everything at once. Just go in small little chunks and improve 1% every single day. If you're
In a way,
improving 1% every single day, you're going to be a hugely different person at the end of 365 days.
yeah.
That's the thing
in
that
a,
I would.
yeah. In a way, accidentally I was following. Last year I used to checklist this much list kind of thing every day. It always should be repeated same way.
Yeah.
Somehow this year what I did was maybe every week I prioritized very specific tasks. Like I
Mhm.
can say hyper priority, like 3 or 5.
Yes.
Definitely, it
Yeah.
improved a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't let yourself to get overwhelmed. If you want to do something right now, do it, finish it, and then move to the next one. Many
Yeah,
of us are
that's
great starters. We start quite well, but when it comes to finishing, we suck.
that's the
We don't know how to finish it. We can start. It's like Abhimanyu. He knows how to go inside, but he doesn't know how to
but
come outside. And that's a half knowledge, and it's deadly than no knowledge at all. So therefore,
sometimes it will be evaporate as well.
yeah, exactly. So make sure whatever you start, finish it, and then go to the next one. That will give you a sense of accomplishment and achievement also. So, yeah, these are some of my ideas, I would say.
What kind of trends do you see shaping the future leadership, and how individuals can prepare themselves to thrive this evolving landscape?
Even though I hate to say it, but yeah, AI is going to rule, that's for sure. But I also believe that just because AI is going to rule, that does not mean everything else other than technology is going to evaporate. I don't believe in that. I keep having this
Uh,
conversation and this argument with other leaders who believe
it's
that,
debatable
uh,
topic. Like, yeah,
yeah, it is a debatable topic, and I understand that. But my point of view is that yes, AI is coming. That's another thing. It's like when computer came, we said, okay, all jobs will be taken away by computers. Did that really happen? I don't think so. So it's like that, right? So AI will be there, but there has to be people who can command the AI, who can nurture that AI, who can guide the AI to do the right things. AI will not do it
mm,
themselves. You have to be able to do it. So, and that is a skill that we should all
yeah,
strive
adopt
to
it.
gain. Whichever way it is. Let's say you are a creative person, you are a photographer, you are a music maker, or you are a video maker or anything like that. Learn to use the AI in your favor instead of
Mm.
getting threatened by it. And if
We
you
need
do
to
that,
adopt technologies.
yes, you will always rule. So that is one thing that I see. Second thing that I see in leadership happening is that the movement of diversity, inclusion, belonging, is ruling, and it will rule more and more countries. It's still not as prominent as it should be back in India, but in the US, I'm seeing it. It's a huge thing, and every organization wants to do it. And even though they are sometimes reluctant because old habits die hard, they say, but they still need to do it. And it will happen similarly for other countries as well. So if a leader is empathetic, conscious, and is aware of these changes happening around him or her, it's going to be helpful for them. It's going to take them ahead faster, more than their peers. So these are two big things that I'm seeing. Well, yeah, so that's that. The last one, let it be. I don't want to talk about it. It's a really, I would say, touchy subject for a lot of us.
For aspiring authors, upcoming leaders, what advice would you give them to based on your own experience in writing and publishing books?
For aspiring writers, I will say, do not write a book. Okay, hear me out why I say that. Before you decide to write a book, decide what you want yourself to be known for. Why are you writing this book at the first place? Who's your audience, and what are you going to gain out of it? What impact do you want to bring about it? It's not about writing another book. It's not about just contributing to another book. It's not about that. Like, I have written 2 books, and I have also contributed to 4 other books in anthologies. But I think when I realized why I wanted to write this book and what I wanted out of it is when I actually wrote the book, because it's a lots of effort. It requires, I mean, writing 40,000, 50,000 words is not a joke, and
Yeah,
then going ahead with publishing it, that takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of investment for you to do it. So before you actually write a book, give a good thought about what do you want to be known for, why you want to write, for whom you want to write this book. Get those things clear before you actually start writing. So that's what I would say. Even with the speaker, I mean, aspiring speakers, I will say the same thing. You can keep on speaking. You can go to Toastmasters and speak
mm,
on different topics and hone your skills. But if you truly want to be a professional speaker, you got to be knowing what subject should you be speaking and where people will take you as a credible person of that topic. So yeah, that's what I would say.
yeah, that I can relate to. I struggled a lot, which is my passion. Where is my experience, expertise is there? Like earlier during COVID, I published one anthology, then one psychology, then investments book. Then last year I realized this is not my cup of tea. My experience expertise was marketing. So in that thing, I realized that this is not my place. I should focus on marketing. So I published 2 books under marketing space. One is like digital marketing, and one is LinkedIn B2B marketing space, where
Right,
my most of my experience is
right.
there.
So yeah, I think that's what I would say. I mean, eh, before you go ahead and say, "Hey, I want to write a book," it's like, I want to become an entrepreneur. It's sexy. It's like that. I want to write a book because it's amazing. It's sexy. Everybody thinks you are an expert when you write a book.
But
It
it's not
does not
in
happen like that.
reality. Yeah.
You just writing one book in one subject, another book in another subject, another book in another subject, and going all over the place is not going to help you. It's not going to help you really well. So therefore, first focus on where is your expertise. What do you want to do? What the market needs from you? What the
True.
market will pay you for? Because you need to get paid at the end of it. This is not a recreational project, is it? I mean,
Mm,
for me, it is
yeah,
not. I mean, when I write book, I write
yeah,
really for the right reasons, right? So I would say that get those things clear first before you actually jump into the
true.
writing books.
Can you share any memorable moment or experience from your career, that had a lasting impact, and you are, your approach to leadership or personal growth?
Hmm. Many of them, many of them. It's like asking, tell me
Pick
one
best one.
kind of, yeah, the best one. Hmm. So
Okay,
I will tell,
yeah,
I
then
will
pick
talk about
worst
one.
one.
Yeah, let me talk about one, which actually changed the trajectory of my speaking career. And this was in 2019, and I I had just become member of PSAI, and I was attending their first speaker summit, the PSS Professional Speaker Summit, that happens if you're an aspiring speaker. you must be there for it. Every year in February, it happens in one of the metro cities. Last year, it happened, I think, in Delhi. Last year in 2024. This year, it happened in Delhi. Next year, I think it's going to happen in Bombay, if I'm not wrong. So anyway, so that's that. So I was attending the first PSS and I was struggling in my speaking career. My first 10 speaking events flopped. Nobody turned up for those. I rented a place, I went there, I was ready with my speech, I had everything to give to people, but no one actually turned up. So I was really struggling at that point in time, financially, emotionally, mentally, and every other way. And I was questioning my um, I would say my choices. So at that time, I traveled to Chennai from Bangalore with 500 rupees in my pocket. Okay. I called Kriba Shankar, the then president of Professional Speakers Association of India, and I said, I'm coming. I don't know where am I staying. And these 3 days, I don't know what am I going to do. He said, you just come. I'll take care of rest of it. And he did. He did take care of it. He made sure that one of the other members of Chennai team called Praveen Shekhar, he actually opened up his entire office for us to crash in the night. And we all crashed in the night there, whoever had traveled from other places. It was happening in Chennai. So I had just 500 bucks in my pocket and I went and I was sitting, I was listening to the first, I think this, not the first speech, this was the last speech, the closing keynote I was listening to. It was Frederick Harron who was speaking on stage. Okay, and I was sitting there and I was wondering, is this the end of my speaking career? And is this where I should take a recourse and change my way? What he spoke on the stage that day, how he presented professional speaking, and how he showed that success was possible. And not only possible, it was easy to do it if we knew. It was simple to do it, not easy, but simple to do it if we knew how to do it and how to go about doing it. It changed the way I saw professional speaking as a career. It changed the way I looked at speaking, coaching, and consulting. And it changed the way I look at me as an expert today. So that was then. And from then, now, I have spoken in 100 plus, platforms. I've spoken in 10 plus countries and have already, I would say, worked not one-on-one, but different ways. I have worked or impacted almost 50K leaders across the
That's
world. So
that's a huge.
that has changed from 19 to 24, right? So that was a huge impactful, I would say, memory, which I cherish really close to my heart. And of course, after that, many other things happened and it kind of changed completely the way I look at my career right now. So yeah, that's one of the stories I can share.
It's really inspiring, Srijata. Like before we wrap it up, what final message or word of encouragement to especially to share with our audience or those who are, focusing their own leadership journey?
I'll just say one thing that I personally believe in my life and career, and that is get comfortable with the uncomfortable. If you get comfortable with
It's
the uncomfortable, nothing is going to be, throwing you off. You can just be like a rock or like a tree that doesn't get wavered by the storms. It just moves, but at the same time comes back to in its own place. And I think that's my life's mantra, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. So I share that with you.
that's really wonderful experience, Srijata. It was really nice speaking with you. I had a really wonderful time with interviewing me. Thanks for joining with me.
Thank
Thank
you. I had the same experience as well. It's fun to talk. It is really good to talk about and share these things. I hope people who are listening to this get value out of it. And feel free to get in touch in case you want. I mean, I'm always available in various social medias. You can find
Yeah,
me in talk me wherever you want. So it's fine.
yeah, sure. Whenever you are back to India, we should catch up.
Sure thing, Ravi.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.